Hi there, these comments, I'm going to use your initials for privacy purposes, BS, and I'm going to read the comments that you sent me at Facebook. Let's take a look here. So you go, hello sir, how are you? I saw your videos about the TOEFL test on YouTube, and it's obvious that you're helping to the students who will take the TOEFL exam. You probably don't need the preposition here. You say, I would like to consult something that makes me really desperate, which is an adjective, and then make this an adjective here, desperate and worried about the TOEFL exam. I am from Turkey. I've never taken this exam so far in my university this year. I'd probably say this, in my university, this is the last year, I would say it like that. In my university, this is the last year I'm studying food and beverage management. I'd like to apply to the Swedish Universities for International Relations Department to study, maybe here, you might want to put a master's degree. The most exciting and frightening part of this matter is that to be admitted to these universities, I should score. If you put a comma after universities, I'd probably put one here too. So is, wait a minute, no, not here. Here. Is that to be admitted to these universities, I should score 90 out of 120. Now here, to avoid the comma splice, put the semicolon, not the comma. The semicolon is used to join two separate sentences together. Say, moreover, it has to be 20 points. I would just say this. I need to get 20 points in the writing section. My English level is upper intermediate, and I mightily wonder if I'll be able to score 90 in 3 months. You're not bad with your writing skills, so I think you're in pretty good shape here. Say, I decided to take the TOEFL exam in December. I think don't need the comma here. And then maybe because in January the university's application will be, I'm going to say here, more precise word, expired. I feel really, you want to need a noun here, the, need to share this question with you. Whenever you're available, I'll be waiting your, you need a noun here, not a verb. I'll be waiting your response. I'll be waiting for your response. Okay, so really the question before us right now is pretty simple. So you want to know if you can get 90 points or higher on the TOEFL IBT with upper intermediate English skills. I'm going to say it's possible, but I still think we need to get a baseline here. I think it's a good idea for you to take a full-length IBT practice test right now. We need to know where you are. So that's one of my first recommendations. If you join my course, you will see in the 8th section of my course that you can pay an additional cost for taking a full-length IBT practice test from a website that I've contracted with, so you can do that. The website is called ScoreNexus, and I have a discount code that you can use once you become one of my students, and I recommend that's really probably one of the first things you do is to take a full-length IBT practice test so we can take a look at that. I'd like to see what you do there. I'm interested in two things. I'm interested in in your overall TOEFL score first on the practice test. I'm also interested in your subtotals in the reading, listening, writing, and speaking areas, and that can help me decide what you need to do. Alright, so I'm also going to recommend my 90-day TOEFL study guide. You can start on this right away. But there's a lot of things that you need to do. If you've been watching my, if you've been paying attention at YouTube, you know that I recommend students do a lot of different things to help them get better. First of all, right now, in steps 1 through 5, reading for 45 minutes, practicing listening for 45 minutes. Make sure you work on your note-taking. Make sure that you are completing about 3 250-word summaries each week, and then you're giving 3 60-second oral summaries. Make sure you record them so you can get used to using a microphone. These are important, so start doing this right now, immediately. This can help you improve your academic English language proficiency. Now this means that each day right now for the next 3 months you're spending at least probably close to 2 hours a day just going through steps 1 through 5. So for your reading materials, you can focus on newspapers, magazines, and books. You choose the materials as long as they're geared more toward adults and not children. For example, don't go to the library and get children's books. You should be practicing more adult type books and practicing reading from those materials for 45 minutes. For listening, to help you with this, again, you're choosing the materials. If you have English TV, that's great. You can focus on news, documentary, history, and especially science programs. Now, if you don't have English TV and you need some websites, I can give you 3 website suggestions right now. National Public Radio, TED Talks, and Randall's Cyber Listening Lab. These are 3 great websites. Alright, now 40% of your time right now is to start going through the lessons in my 90-day TOEFL study guide. And one of the things you want to do is going to take some time. You got to hit it hard. In American culture, we say, take the bull by the horn. So you should start improving your vocabulary. And I do have some good lessons and practice tests to help you acquire about 1,700 TOEFL words. Absolutely, you need to learn these words. It's going to be hard work. It's going to take you a lot of time, but you can do it. And once you learn those words, you will score higher on the TOEFL. Now think of it this way. Let me tell you a quick story here. About 2 weeks ago, I climbed Mount Baldy in Southern California. It's a hike that's approximately 12 miles long, and we have to go from about 6,500 feet in elevation to 10,064 feet in elevation gain. And guess what? My dad did it. Now, if you've seen some of my videos, you already know that I'm old. Heck, I'm 49 years old. So what does that say about my dad? Well, my dad is 78 years old, and he was able to climb to the top of Mount Baldy. It was hard work, but he did it. Now, here's another story of Mount Baldy. While we were there, while we were climbing on the mountain and on our way down, we approached an area of the mountain called the Devil's Backbone. That's because it's kind of curvy and spiny. It has a lot of rocks with steep cliffs on both sides. And guess what? We saw a man who had no legs, who was very slowly, methodically climbing to the top of this mountain. He had on what's called prosthetic legs, artificial legs, with joints in the knee and the ankle. And he was going to the top of Mount Baldy. He had 2 metal poles that he was holding on to, and he was using those metal poles, he was using his hands holding the poles. The poles were positioned on the ground in the rocks, and he was helping move his artificial feet up the mountain. How hard do you think that was? Now, when we saw him, he still had almost 3 miles to get to the summit. And when we saw him, all the hikers, in respect to the disabled man, we cleared the trail for him so he could have room to move forward. He went 100 feet It took him 20 minutes long just to go 100 feet. And you know what? Even though I'm estimating it would probably take this guy about 19 to 20 hours at that rate to get to the top of the mountain, he made it. He did it. I found out that he did it. I found out that he regularly climbs this mountain, and he is very strong, very determined, and he reaches the goals that he sets. Now, I'm here to tell you, if my dad can climb to the top of Mount Baldy, if this disabled man with artificial legs can get to the top of Mount Baldy, you, my friend, can reach your goal. You got to believe it, but you can do it. All right? So as I said before, I made this recommendation. I recommend that you take a full-length IBT practice test once you join my course. I'll lay it out for you. As one of my students right now, of course, the price can change at any time, but you make a payment of $38, and then you get access to all 700 of my vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, reading, listening, writing, and speaking lessons. Now, if you take a full-length IBT practice test, you go to the 8th section of my course, you'll have to make another payment. I think it's around $34, and I have a discount coupon that you can use. But once you take that test, you want to come back and talk to me so we can take a look at your results, and we can figure out how realistic it is for you to reach your goal within the next 3 months. If you watch my videos, you know I'm honest. I will tell you directly. I'll say, well, your practice test score right now is about 50 out of 120. That's probably not realistic to do it in 3 months. It might take you 6. Now, if you do the practice test and find that your practice test score is around 75 or 80, I would say yes. It's definitely possible for you to reach your goal. It all depends on what your baseline is right now, what your score is right now. All right? So these are my recommendations. So if you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with me, don't let a day go by that you're not doing something with these first 6 steps. Notice 60% of your time is spent reading for 45 minutes, listening for 45 minutes, making sure you're working on your note-taking of the reading and the listening passages. Using your notes, you should be writing 3 250-word summaries each week. You should also be giving 3 60-second oral summaries. If you're not doing that, you should not feel good about things. You're not doing what it takes to get to the top of the mountain or to get to your score. Now, you should also be going through my 90-day TOEFL study guide, focusing on the lessons on a day-to-day basis so that you can work on improving your academic English language proficiency. This is your plan. This is what you can do. Bookmark this video. I recommend BS that you watch a video about once a week for motivational purposes so you can remember what my study guide is for you, and then you can start doing these things on a day-to-day basis. And by the way, in the Facebook message, I will put a link to my 90-day TOEFL study guide along with this video.